Yo, we just saw NBA history this week, and there is outrage. Bam Adebayo dropped not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50, not 60, not 70, but 83 points. And people are upset. We got to talk about that. The Ravens, we thought we was getting one potential future Hall of Famer. Now we may be getting another potential future Hall of Famer. So who knows? Then let's talk about it. Michael Jordan says, cut the GOAT conversations out because they don't matter. Plus, did you know Janet Jackson was upset after seeing the movie premiere for the new Michael Jackson movie? All that and more on this episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I know I don't like when people say that. We're doing a pod every week. But in this situation, I took a little hiatus. Yes, been dealing with a lot of things, to be honest with you. So if it's, things I didn't have already in place, I have help with, I had to kind of dial it back a little bit. But yeah, so, today's episode is a heavy one. I just lost a family member, future cousin of mine. So dedicate this episode to my cousin. I'm going to claim cousin. My close cousin was about to get married this June. But I would dedicate this show to my cousin, Brandy Vaughn, who has transitioned to go home with the All-Father. They are Heavenly Father. So, but if she was here, she would say, you better go ahead and do your show. So that's what we're going to do today. Ladies and gentlemen, Bam Adebayo, he dropped 83 points. And it was crazy. It was crazy. People are upset. They're sitting up there. They're mad. They're wondering, why? Oh, my gosh. He dropped 83 points, but it was so many free throws. He was 20 for 40-something. He had 20 field goals. That's, regular shots. 7 3-pointers. Now, he is a center. Y'all know how I feel about the big men shooting threes, but nonetheless, over 30 free throws. 36 for 43, I believe it was. This ain't a stat show, but there's a lot of outrage. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, we don't like nothing. And sometimes, as I've done a lot in the past couple of weeks, is dialing down the social media, turning it off, keeping in contact with my circle, my friends, right? Because, you sit back and I remember I'm watching this game. No, I get the alert. I think I was scrolling. Somebody said, wow, Bam got 70 something. So, of course, I go right to the NBA app. I'm like, all right, cool. I got the league pass. I'm going to try to turn it on. And, stuff was happening so fast. I was watching part of NXT, watching part of World Baseball Classic. So I was like, okay, Bam got, points. So I text my lady's father and I text my godbrother. Those two people, I was like, look, I know maybe they watching, whatever. And by the time I got the game on, they was like, oh, Bam is coming out of the game. He scored 83 points. Then people said it was against the Washington Wizards. We know the Washington Wizards are terrible. And, I thought about this. I'm going to go ahead and say it on the show because it's not, it's some pictures out there. I was a little biased because Bam Adebayo's brother, Anthony, good friend of mine, right? Shout out to Anthony and work he's doing. A tremendous football mind. I'm trying to tell you, one of the best football minds I've ever met. And I was like, well, shoot, his little brother just dropped 83 points. Now there was a part of me that was like, wait, so Kobe Bryant doesn't have the second best scoring, the best scoring in the league pass era? Okay. All right. Well, cool. Because I think by the time I saw it was like he was tied. And I was like, wow, he's about to get it. And, you know, a lot of people are upset because of the fact that they were, you know, it gets to a point where people, they're fouling for extra possessions. I even think if the Wizards was throwing the ball up, people know it's history. But again, this is the NBA we live in. This is the NBA we watch. Deal with it. You look at the way the game is being played. You look at the friendships. You look at these players will sit up there, play each other in a game, and then go out and get on the game at night and play 2K. They're, you know, that's just the way it is. So if there's an opportunity for history to be made, of course everybody's going to rally around it. You know why? Because that ticket for the fans was worth so much more last night. I was happy he did it at home. That ticket, that moment was worth so much more. Yeah, people are going to make fun of the Wizards, right? But everybody on the court, whether you was, or I should say everybody who was in the arena, whether he was on the court or on the bench, are going to be able to say they witnessed history. Shoot, Jalen Rose, he was eating off of them checks. You know, he got commercial deals. When Kobe was like 81 olives, I think it was. So I know there's a lot of outrage and people just don't want to see nobody win. Y'all don't want to see nobody happy, you know, because guess what? 83 points is 83 points. Now, I will never, ever profess to saying I was such a great basketball player because it wasn't. You know, I played rec ball. Shout out the Lock Raven Knicks, the 99-2000 champions. You know, I contributed my 6 points that season. I think it was 4 or 6, right? I was at ESPN in a little basketball league. I would go to drop all my teammates, but then I will forget something and I'll feel bad. But we won a championship. I contributed my couple points. Church league, my church league, you know, I was a little bit older, and I was the second leading scorer. You know, we didn't score that much, but we was champions by default because other teams didn't show up. But here's what my point is. When you're in the game that long, you're putting the ball in the basket, whether you're shooting or whether you're driving to the hoop, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. Now, is there a difference? When Kobe dropped 81, I watched the game. I was explaining this to my son. I remember that night vividly. I was watching TV. No, I was on the phone and I was in bed. You know, I'll be honest, I was doing one of these, you know, and the person I was talking to at the time, we was, you know, getting the Lakers scores, and it would be like, this is, y'all remember back with text messaging, right? And it would text you the score. And I was like, okay, Lakers losing. And this is why, at that time, Lakers, Orioles, Ravens, Cowboys, scores would get texted to my phone. So I was like, all right, they losing. Cool. All right, come on, Kobe. Boom. It would tell you like who's the leading scorer. They're losing this end of the second half, end of the first half. Oh man. The third quarter, they was getting close. I said, oh, so now I'm gonna turn on the game. Like I said, I got league pass this time also. This is the first time I ever had it. Now, if y'all remember earlier that year, Kobe had dropped 62 on Dallas. In 3 quarters, at one point he had 62, they had 61. And I saw a quote today where it was Brian Shaw, I believe, said they wanted Kobe to go back in and go for 70. They was like, come on, Kobe, you got to do it. He said, nah, I'll save it for when we really need it. I mean, they was blowing him out, just like last night. So when this happens, right, I said, all right, on this night, I said, all right, I think Kobe had like 55 or something when I turned the game on. And I remember hitting record on my DVR. This is the first time, this is like the early years of the DVR. They actually had space. And I'm like, oh, snap, Kobe going for history. And I think I even hit record on my DVD recorder. And I'm watching this unfold. Remember, the girl was like, all right, I'm going to bed. I said, good night. And I'm watching, and Kobe going off, and buckets. And then boom, he finished with 81. I said, oh my gosh, what an amazing feat. Now, anybody knows me knows Kobe Bryant's my favorite best basketball player. I think him and Michael Jordan equally are the greatest all time. More than that later. but Bam did it. You know, they made it happen last night. Congratulations to them. They was all on the same page. I'm not mad at it. I know a lot of people are upset, but I say this. Look, congratulations to Bam Adebayo. Wonderful feat. His name going down in history, whether you like it or not. And guess what? 30 years from now, yeah, you might have people pulling up all these videos and they hope they pull up this video and they saying, oh, but see, this is what they were saying. It doesn't matter because his name is in the history books. Congratulations to Bam.
Hey, gatekeepers, make sure you subscribe to 6 Heart Media YouTube channel because we have a lot of fun Beyond the Gates content coming for you and we recap every single week. All right, tune back in.
Let's move on. Something else that happened yesterday. As a Ravens fan, I was excited on Friday. Like I said, it's been a very, very rough month, a couple months. And I'm not going to sit there. Like, sports hasn't been able to be it for me. As a Laker fan, I'm rooting for the Knicks, though, because I'm over the LeBron James situationship. But there was something that made me smile. It was an alert that came. The Ravens agreed to a trade with the Las Vegas Raiders to land Maxx Crosby. So I'm hyped. I'm sitting here and I'm telling Queen PR, I was like, look, we're Ravens. We got to win the Super Bowl next year. We just got Maxx Crosby. It was rumors it was going to happen. It was saying this was the best landing spot, but wasn't going to happen. And it did. So yesterday, I'm outside. I'm with my favorite cousin. He's we'll send all prayers up to my cousin Chris, as he deals with this tragic loss. And the alert comes. Now, y'all may remember Chris is the one in the video. He's the Steelers fan. He's the one that was happy when we missed the field goal. So I said, oh, shoot. And I show him the alert. He goes, whatever. And I'm upset. Like, how dare they back out of this trade? But immediately I said, it had to be a reason. Come to find out, they said it was a physical issue. The Ravens backed out, said, nope, we don't want to give up a first and a second round pick. Two first round draft picks, excuse me. We don't want to give up 2 first round draft picks. And so I was like, all right, don't like it, is what it is. But you know what I realized? I said, wait a minute, the Ravens have like a top 15 pick. So if there was something in that, that physical, I'm okay with it. So I'm seeing all these people talking online and seeing people say, oh, it better be anonymous GM, or maybe they did reveal their name, said, that better be, he better be. What they said? I'm sorry. They said, it better be career-ending injury or career-threatening in order for the Ravens to back out of that trade. And this is one of those times as a Ravens fans, and when we say in Eric we trust, we better do it. We got to see. Now, the next day, we land Trey Hendrickson. I was fine with that, folks. I was fine with that. I'm like, okay. Because Trey Hendrickson is a beast. He's somebody what we need, a pass rusher. We need a pass rusher on the Ravens. And, what was funny was last week when the trade went through and we saw Jamar Chase get very, very upset. Like, I don't believe this, that, and the other. And then he says today, April 1st, because he put think it's a joke. But, in Ozzy, or when I was to say, in Eric, in EDC, we trust. The Ravens, they made it happen. Lamar Jackson got the deal where they extended the thing. They extended the contract where he'll get paid, a little bit less money, but paid more later, whatever. However those things work, the bottom line is this. The Baltimore Ravens better win the Super Bowl next year. They are looking like competitors once again. And if this is, I don't want to see, remember, I was looking at this video and it was talking about the worst teams for every season, right? The best team for the Ravens, obviously, 2000, right? But the worst team was 2007. Now, y'all remember that was the team that after 2006, a 13-3 2006 team with high expectations fell through the cracks. Remind you of somebody? That would lead to Brian Biller getting fired. They come back the next year. It was 12-4, just and reached the AFC Championship game, losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, nobody expected that team to do that. They knew they had a potential Super Bowl roster. We all knew they needed some tweaks, but we knew they could compete. This right here is a Super Bowl. Well, we did lose like 9 free agents, but that's nonetheless. You got Lamar Jackson. You got Derrick Henry. You got Zay Flowers. You put some more pieces. On defense, you got Kyle Hamilton. Come on now. Roquan Smith and now Trey Hendrickson. And they still wanted to do a deal with the Raiders. They just didn't want to give up as much, but the Raiders say no. And I hear people talk about, the Ravens backed out. Could be a conspiracy. Who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But I'm glad the team did what was best for their business. Let's move on. A couple little things to hit before we leave. Michael Jordan says enough. Now, we know Michael Jordan did this long sit down, and now we're getting it broken up into pieces. But in this part of the conversation, it was all about Michael Jordan saying, just the GOAT conversation. It just doesn't exist. He doesn't subscribe to it. He would have loved to play against LeBron James or Kobe in his prime or, Wilt and Russell, but he didn't. But here's the thing. That's not going to stop us from talking about it. Now, I'm in the midst of rewatching The Last Dance, and I have to say, it's not the skill set that made Michael Jordan the greatest of all time. It is the will and the determination with the skill set that made Michael Jordan the greatest of all time, along with Kobe Bryant. Yes, he could do all. He was good on the court, but it was the lethal mindset. Y'all know I talk about this all the time, how I'm not a fan of what LeBron James has done. I'm a fan of his game, and I appreciate what he's done. I probably would feel different if he wasn't on a team that I root for, and I feel like the inner work in politics has taken over because Bronny James is still on the team. And y'all know I'm rooting for Bronny. But the thing is this. Michael Jordan, you go back and watch those all-star games, man. Michael Jordan's out there competing. And the game has changed. I know you got players teaming up, but you also got players, taking a back seat. You don't see that same sort of passion, that same sort of, it is me versus you on that court. Like Magic Johnson said, him and Isaiah Thomas, they shared a kiss, said, I love you, and they went out there and battled. That's what I want to see. All right. Terrance Howard. What I had to say when I saw this. Terrance Howard did this interview. I haven't watched the full thing. I think I will. Because in the interview, I did see and I listened to it because I wanted to make sure I heard the context of the headline right. He had a chance to date Beyonce. But instead, he dated the blue-eyed lady that was a part of Destiny's Child. And, he said this is before she was like this big. Look, Destiny's Child was always big. As soon as they came out, guns blazing. Beyonce, yeah, she became bigger, but let's not act like everybody knew Beyonce was the money. Now, go back to when she was on The Smart Guy. Me and Queen PR talked about that when she had the country accent. Incredible. But everybody knew Beyonce was a star. We just had more access to her. That's all it was. But he said he had an opportunity to date her. And then he brought up, y'all remember 2001, the BET Awards. the Cater to You video, and he said he believed that's why she chose him, to remind him what he lost. Poor Terrence Howard. I don't know. I think he should have just kept that one with him. Should have took that to the grave, bro. Because in the words of Queen PR, that is a generational bag fumbler. He is a generational bag fumbler. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Closing out, y'all know this new Michael Jackson movie coming out, and I am excited. I know I'm going to see this thing probably 3 or 4 times before it hits the streaming services. I'm buying the physical media. I saw physical media is making its comeback. I will own it. If I was to turn this around, you would see I have probably over 500 pieces of physical media, from video games to DVDs and Blu-rays. But Janet Jackson isn't happy. They said she was inside critiquing the whole thing. This is a report I saw on Instagram, so take it with a grain of salt. We'll see the truth, whatever. But I got to talk about it. They said she was in there and she was not happy. And she was talking about, like, she was criticizing the performances, the makeup artists, the actors, everything. And they said even Jermaine Jackson called her out. This is close to her. That's all I got to say, man. Look, this is their life. This was the Jackson, like, this was Janet, Michael, Jermaine, Tito, Marlon. I'm missing one, but this was their life. So I can't tell people how to act. It's still a grief process. You know, that was her sibling, and I believe they were the closest ones. So I'm excited to see it, and I hope that, you know, she gets at peace with it. I hope that this doesn't do anything with her and the family. She's entitled to her opinion. Bottom line, I'm not here to rag on Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson is an epic star as well, and I'm just grateful that they're making this movie. And I'm ready to be blasting Michael Jackson's music. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining this episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. Please hit the subscribe button. I should have said this earlier, but if you want to support the channel, you could do so right here. You can, like, click the $sign right there. So that would be highly appreciated. You can also click some of the affiliate links that will be popping up soon. We appreciate all of that. Look, you got to shop anyway. Why not? You know, I believe there's an affiliate link for Samsung television. I said, Samsung television. So why not? You got to buy one, you know, get a couple, help us out. I believe you may even save some money, but also make sure y'all check out Loving Them Gates, because this story is continuing to get spicy, and Queen PR and I are here to talk about it. But ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this week's episode. Make sure y'all tune in next week. We'll see what's happening. We'll see what we're talking about. And remember, do not let anyone place a ceiling above your success. So long, everyone.
This has been a 6 Heart Media production, founded by Queen PR and Brian H. Waters.